It's the time of year when most of us are headed down south to enjoy some time by the Alabama Gulf Coast, or if you do, enjoy the Florida coast. And I want to talk to you today about beach safety. Obviously, the very first and most important rule, I would think, is once you hear thunder, you want to get away from the outside and head on inside, because as generic as it is, when thunder roars, go indoors. You also want to be aware of coastal alert and conditions. It's also a good idea once you get down to the coastline to get familiar a little bit with the local TV stations so you can keep up with the weather that they're going to be forecasting for you as you're down along the coast. And you also want to only swim in designated areas. You're going to want to swim parallel to the coast if you are caught in a rip current, and I'm going to go into more depth about rip currents in just a second. And you want to also observe the wave heights and understand the tide levels and the tide times. So let's talk about rip currents. These are probably one of the most important things. We've seen a lot of them so far this summer, and we still have a few months of summer left to go. So rip currents, it's basically just a strong current of water that's moving away from the shore. So it's pulling you out into the ocean. So here is that very strong current moving from the coastline out into the sea. And like I said, what it's going to do is it's going to pull you straight into the ocean. What you want to do is not to panic. I know that's hard to think about, but you want to swim parallel to the coastline to be able to escape the rip current. Because if you start to fight the rip current, it's going to make you tired, and it is not going to be good if you are out in a rip current. Let's also talk about the flags, because we do see these a lot here. So if you happen to see a purple flag, what that means is there's dangerous marine life, whether that be sharks or jellyfish. It's just a variety of things. A green flag means low hazard. You've got calm conditions and medium hazards. It means that there's a moderate surf. There's some rip currents expected. And red flag, that's what we typically call a high hazard. That's where we see high surf, strong rip currents, sometimes dangerous rip currents are expected. And you might see double flag sometimes while you're down on the beach. So if you do see a red flag that has a black box within it, that means that is indicating tropical storm conditions. We still are in the middle of the Atlantic hurricane season, which does not end until November. So that's when we typically see winds anywhere from 39 to 74 miles per hour. If you see a double red flag with two black boxes in between both of them, that's when you can expect to see hurricane conditions. What that means is that you're going to be seeing winds greater than 74 miles per hour. If you just see a regular old red flag that's doubled, that just means that no swimming is allowed. The flags can be posted during non-tropical events. I know I've been down there many of times where it's just been two red flags, which means we can't swim in the ocean. So like I said, I think it's important just to remember a little bit about the beach safety, as we are still in the middle of summer and people still like to head on down to the Gulf Coast.